And welcome to the Daily Autism Radio Show. It is Mark and Melissa, your hosts of the show. Of course, this is our radio version of dailyautism.com, which you can grab online 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, every and any social media platform from Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, our LinkedIn newsletter. I'm probably leaving out a couple, but it's all right there at dailyautism.com. You've got some really good videos in the last couple of days of Cal. We're in like we're very optimistic these days when it comes to like Cal and his development.
Me, probably too much. You're more realistic about what's happening.
Yeah. Well, I think we all go through those ups and downs. But one thing you learn through this is, you want to jump on the progressions a lot. You want to put like a lot more weight in the progressions than the regressions.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like his regressions have dramatically changed, like decreased his behaviors. But then, of course, last night it came back.
Yeah.
And yesterday at school. And it's the end of the school year, so I think everyone's just ready for it to be over. But when he starts hitting and stuff, that's not a good thing.
No, but nonetheless, that is part of it. It's interesting, because all the therapists and the doctors and everything, they really let you know about all this in the beginning. And it's hard. You just think that they're just guessing, but they really do know because they've been doing this, especially the ones who've been doing this a long time. But they do kind of map it out like, oh, no, he's going to take some really big steps forward. But the pattern of, forward, backward, forward, backward, is always going to exist at some point, like to a certain extent. Like it's never just going to be like everything's forward. There's always going to be those backward steps. And when you get into those backward steps, it's almost impossible to believe that there'll be another forward step. Like we've definitely been there where it's like backwards. Then you get into a little roll of forward, and you're like, well, I don't think we're going backwards anymore. And then backwards. And not major, just it's interesting because when you take a bunch of these forward steps, the backward steps really aren't as backwards as they used to be, but they feel real backwards because you've had so many forward steps.
I know. Like, I feel sick today. I don't know why.
Why?
I don't know, because I'm just like, he was doing so good, and then it's like... But I don't know how you think of this in your head, but I have to separate it. So like he has global developmental delay and then he has autism. So I think a lot of this development he's experiencing is part of global developmental delay because he's so delayed. You know what I mean? Like he's going to be 7 and now he's just to like the 3.5, 4-year-old stage when he was at the 2 to 3-year-old stage forever. And I know that's hard to understand, but like just think of a 3.5-year-old being in first grade. I mean, that's what it is.
Yeah.
And so I think part of his development right now is like learning to be potty trained, trying new foods, learning to be right next to me without me holding his hand nonstop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But then the autism part of it is like behaviors.
Yeah. I just think that the backwards steps now just feel a lot more backwards because he's been on such a forward motion thing.
I know.
Like I remember when it was like a year of just steps back and I mean big steps back and to the point of just I think I almost renamed the podcast Daily Exhaustion. I think it was like less about autism and having an autistic child and then just like 2 people who are just so exhausted. But you do kind of get out of that if you do. And I mean, we've talked about this so many times before, but it's like every week we get new listeners and we get new feedback. And it's just, we do so many different things all the time. It's like we do so many things consistently, but are different. Like some people, and if this works for you and you've seen great results, I think it's fine, whatever, but just, you got to tell our story and what we're doing. It's not just one therapy. It's not just one food. It's not just one, type of, I don't know what the word I'm thinking of, but like you don't look for one momentum. Like some people are just like, listen, it's creative play and we do it all day, every day. And we do a lot of play a lot of play, but it's also mixed in with speech therapy. And, there's so many different things that he's doing all the time that I just think it's obvious to me, or to us, that constantly keeping everything kind of on point, always keeping him thinking, always keeping him like with something to do,
like moving,
all the time, and it's like, okay, he's doing a task with his therapist, and then we're doing cannonballs in the pool. You know what I mean? And then he's going to the sensory studio and doing all of that.
Right.
And then it's, Curious George, and then it's exploring something. I mean, and we've seen that now in like, food. I wanted to get to this, down the road here in a few minutes, but we'll just talk about it now. And you've done a great job with all these videos this week. Again, at dailyautism.com. I mean, he, the other day, asked for rigatoni. Now, global developmental delay, let's just call it what it is. He's around 3 years old with the developmental delay, and he's asking for rigatoni. That's pretty good.
Yeah, so he saw one of our girls eating it. I had made cheesy rigatoni, and he was like, "Can I have some?" to Charlie, and she let him try it, and he liked it. And so he ate it 2 days in a row and had 2 servings of it. What he really likes about it is the rigatoni noodle. You can stick your finger in it.
Right.
Well, so I don't know if that's what got him or not, but I'll take it.
Yeah, but I'm glad you brought that up, because I think there is a sensory aspect to that. It's the feeling of the noodle. You're able to kind of put your whole finger in the, whatever. And so it's like, there's something there that is appealing to his senses. And then in turn, that comes to eating, because he also has pica. So he has a natural desire to want to put something in his mouth.
Right.
So you have the sensory, but then you play the whole pica thing, and then all of a sudden he's eating it. And he's eaten a lot of it for 2 days. Like, he's eaten a pretty good amount, a couple platefuls.
Yeah, and then so he knew he was having rigatoni for dinner last night, but then when I went to ask if he wanted more, I said pasta.
Yeah.
And he said yes. But the good thing about rigatoni is, I mean, it has everything that an Italian pasta dish would, like lasagna, spaghetti. So it's just good that he's branching out in a different area, because if you've been watching our videos and stuff, he eats mac and cheese. Kraft mac and cheese all the time. So for this to be a homemade meal, it was very good.
Well, yeah, and there's some, there's more protein in this, right?
Yeah, there's ricotta cheese, mozzarella cheese, Parmesan cheese. I mean, it's
that's
good.
A lot of stuff that, and then that turned into, he wanted to try a carrot.
Yeah.
And he nibbled on the carrots. He's never asked for a carrot. And then that turned into
avocado.
An avocado. So we're on quite a roll here.
That was one day. And then the next day, and then he asked for red grapes.
Right.
So yesterday I bought red grapes, and he tried them. He didn't like them, but he tried them.
And that's fine, because think about it. We all have tried things we didn't like, but we tried them. Like, we wanted to try it, and so he's in that, he's in his curious phase where he's becoming very curious about things, open to trying things. And I don't know. I mean, you said he did, I guess yesterday at school, he didn't, and he's not a full-time, he doesn't go to school. He's a therapist that goes to the program with, but he had a bad day, one bad day, which, we've all had that. We all do that. On a week, everyone has a bad day.
Well, taking your fluff out of the diaper late at night was not.
Well, yeah. And so he's got his, he's not fully potty trained. So he wears pull-ups at night, and he pulls the fluff out of him, I guess, when he gets bored or whatever. I think it's a sensory thing. Whenever he notices the fluff, he'll pull it all out.
Which is very messy.
Right. But he used to pull other things out of his diaper. So this was honestly, like, it was one of the more off days in a long time. But if we compared this day to, like, I don't know, 6 months ago, this was nothing.
I know. I don't even want to think back that far. It was terrible.
It does get scary.
It was terrible. I'm like, please do not let that happen again.
It does get scary.
Anyway, back to like food. With food therapy, we've done it before. And just a child putting, or adult, whatever, putting food up to their mouth and like licking it is like trying a new food. And so what he did with the carrots was he ate every single carrot and then spit it out. But that's a huge step.
Huge step.
And some people might get mad. Like, why are you spitting your food out? No, like that's like a huge step as far as eating goes.
Well, because, when you learn to eat a new food, and yes, there are people that do get upset about that. Don't let your child spit the food out. And it's like, Well, have you ever watched a young, not a newborn, but, a 1-year-old try to start eating, adult food? That's what they do. That's how they all start. Like you'll give them baby food and half the time they'll spit it out.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just, so we're going through that process because we have global developmental delay and the autism. So that's just part of it. And
we're at home. So who cares?
Yeah, the internet is the internet is full of opinions, and so you decide which ones you want to pay attention to and not. But yeah, it's interesting to see everybody's perspective of It's funny, the ones that get me that I just laugh at and I just saw one the other day, and it was a video like that, and they go, "Gosh, you guys are horrible parents," and I'm going, "Really?" Like, we're in the column of horrible parents. Like, I mean, I have some news feeds on my Facebook. Like, there's some horrible parents out there for sure. But I'm talking about, like, the police are involved. These people are wearing orange. They're in court. You know what I mean? They're never going to see daylight again. And there we are. Horrible parents.
Oh my gosh. I post videos of him that have his iPad and they're like, take away the screen. I'm like,
yeah.
do you have, this kid has been with a therapist all day. He's been playing all day. He's like, this is the first time he's had an iPad all day.
Well, and what about the kids that use the screens as devices to communicate?
I know.
There are kids that have to, they're nonverbal autistic kids, and they have to use a screen to communicate with their caregivers or parents. I mean, that's how they speak. That screen for some kids is the voice.
Well, these are the same people that are saying autism isn't real.
Yeah. Well,
and it's a fake diagnosis and stuff. And it's like, you have no idea how we're living.
I saw one the other day and it said, y'all have, they were, I guess, talking about us and other people because it was y'all. But y'all have figured out how to make excuses for your kids the rest of their lives, so you don't have to be a parent. And I'm like, oh yeah, that's exactly what we were looking for. We were looking for a big excuse so we don't have to be a parent. I'm like, we don't have to be a parent? Oh my goodness, you have no idea. We are parents times 10,000. And by the way, we've had 4 other kids. If we were looking for excuses, we would have dialed them up years ago. We would have been, you know what I mean?
Yeah. We're parenting more than we ever have.
Yeah, we would have been on the excuse train 10 years ago. Trust me. Yeah, we did not just say we're looking for excuses 5th kid into this. So thanks for your idea, but you're wrong. You're just dead wrong. Coming up in about 10 minutes or so, we are going to talk to, I'm excited about this, the 3-time Indian Rocks Beach Mayor, Joanne Cookie Kennedy. Cookie Kennedy is running for Pinellas County Commissioner, and she's done great work already in her really awesome political career around autism awareness. She was actually one of the first mayors, I think, to really do anything along the Gulf Coast of Florida. But we're going to hear her story around why autism awareness became important to her and why she took action and actually started getting things done. Because we are, here we are in the middle of May, getting close to the end of May, and, political season is heating up. All the elections are coming up in November. From the president right on down to our local elections, which I got to tell you, I think are just as, if not more important than the presidential election. I mean, real change that you feel every day is going to happen down the street. And so those are the candidates we want to pay attention to. But I can't find candidates who talk consistently about special needs. I can't. And the interesting thing is, there are so many special needs families, and it continues to grow. Look at the diagnosis rate, 1 in 36 just for autism, and all the people that touches. Because I always say the 1 in 36 is just the child. But think about mom and dad and the grandparents and the aunts and uncles and the siblings and the neighbors and the teachers and the therapists, and it goes on and on and on. But finally found a candidate who wants to talk about these things, who wants to actually have proactive initiatives, and that's Cookie Kennedy. And again, she's running for Pinellas County Commissioner, so she will join us here in just over 10 minutes, or just about 10 minutes or so, here on dailyautism.com. So back to him trying new things and being excited about new things. It's not just, we use the food as the example, but... And I want to say how much too, and listen, we have a sensory studio in Seminole, Florida that we operate. And our real reasoning behind this was very simple. These kids need time to work out their vestibular systems, a safe place to go for the family, where the family can feel secure. But the child has over 1,000 square feet just to themselves on the coolest equipment. We didn't build it, and the people who did are the best. Fun Factory Sensory Gym. This is what they do. They've been building these for decades, all across America and Canada. And so he is getting the best equipment and a private place where he's not, some of these big box gyms you go and it's loud and there's all these people and you don't know how these other kids are going to react. And, there's a lot of triggers and stuff like that. And we've talked about that before, and it's not just the eating and everything. We've got this new thing in the pool. He is now obsessed. He's figured out how to hold his breath. That's a hard thing to teach. Like, swimming is one thing, but how to hold your breath underwater, he kind of just was with his siblings and figured that out.
Yeah.
And he now is obsessed with going underwater all the way to the bottom of the pool. This terrifies you when I talk about it. Touching the bottom of the pool and then coming up to the top of the pool. And he has the biggest smile on his face because he knows he just accomplished something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He really is proud of himself.
It's great. I mean, it's fine that he touches the bottom of the pool, but he does it continuously to the point that he's so tired that I have to put his floaty back on. But the scary thing is when he wants to do it in the deep end, which when he does that, you go down with him and it's fine. But that is like a big deal. I mean, holding your breath all the way and touching the bottom of the pool at the deep end is a big deal.
Yeah, I do go down with him. Well, it's funny. He wants me to go down with him. So I still think he almost can't believe he's doing it. I mean, listen, this is not an Olympic diving pool. It's 6 feet. Okay, so it's not a big deal for us to go down with him to the bottom of the pool. But that said, I mean, the fact that he can hold his breath long enough to go 6 feet, and he gets down to the bottom of the pool and he knows to push himself up to the surface. Like, he knows it'll get him up there quicker. He comes up to the surface and then he goes to the edge of the pool. My point in all this is that, we're seeing really good development in not just eating, but it's in other parts of, like recreation, like swimming.
Yeah,
things like that.
And part of the studio, it's made him confident and brave and take risks. So learning how to jump on the crash mat from the climbing wall has taught him to jump into the pool.
Yeah.
I'm
glad you said the risk-taking part, because we've done a lot of videos of him there taking risks. I mean, a zip line for him 6-7 months ago, I would have said no way. First off, he didn't even have the upper body strength, much less the core strength. And now he does it, and he needed our help for months, and now he does not.
No.
He knows how to go up the ladder. He knows how to use both hands, and he knows how to push himself off the zip line. It's all these little parts of the one thing is the zip line, but there's so many things to get on a zip line. It's like going to your car in the morning. There's a lot more steps than you think.
Right.
Grabbing your keys, opening the door, closing the door, opening the garage, pulling the handle, sitting down, right? It's like, and for him, especially with the delay on top of autism, it's like those things are hard to piggyback on each other.
Yeah.
And he's really starting to figure all of this stuff out. I want to get to some of our partners real quick. The Tampa Tarpons CureMark Sensory Suite. They are one of the minor league baseball teams for the New York Yankees, and they have unveiled an absolutely awesome sensory suite. They partnered with CureMark. You can go to tarponsbaseball.com. It's really cool how they do it. First off, it's huge. It seats 20 people, and it's your suite for the whole game. Fully done out. They've done a few of these. The Yankees have in some other of their stadiums, but tarponsbaseball.com. So you sign up and they'll let you know what game you can go to. And again, plenty of space for the whole family. So the siblings or, grandparents, whoever you want to take, but you'll have the suite for the entire game. It's very well done. You can read all about it at tarponsbaseball.com. Also, our friends at the Lift Academy. Go to liftfl.org. They just had a really, really great event, the Lift Your Spirits event, and they're doing awesome work. So, as we get to the end of, this school year, I guess, if you will, they've just moved to Clearwater. They got a huge new campus. It's absolutely awesome. Learn about Lift. Over 95% of their kids are on a scholarship. They can help you through that process at the Lift Academy. Also, my friend and CEO of Technology North, Ling Huang, they've got an awesome documentary on YouTube. We've been talking a lot about this. I get a lot of feedback on this. It's called Cliff 20. Cliff 20. It's on YouTube. It's totally free. It's about 20, 25 minutes. It's a great watch. I promise you can't watch this just once. You'll go back and really learn what Ling has put together. You'll watch the system in action, and you'll see these young adults not only getting employment on the spectrum, who are on the spectrum, but you'll actually see them start to create a relationship with their coworkers. They become friends. There's a social circle, and he's got big things coming. Ling Huang from Technology North. Again, Cliff20 on YouTube. Our friends at Aeroflow Urology, you may qualify for free diapers. Could be 100% covered by Medicaid. If you go to dailyautism.com, click on the Aeroflow Urology link, you'll know in like 2 minutes. These things are lifesavers. Absolutely lifesavers. We know that potty training is something really, really tough for special needs parents. So see if you qualify from Aeroflow Urology. Begin Health Prebiotics, not probiotics, prebiotics. This is something, I don't know about you, I just feel better when we put this in his food or in his water.
I do.
Because first off, like I said, I didn't know anything about prebiotics, but then you start researching how good it is, especially for these ASD kids, because they have so many gut issues. I was just reading an article yesterday about the metabolism and autism. It's like major links now. They're really finding some unbelievable links about how when the body's metabolizing and how some of these sensors and networks are kind of shut off and how you can open them again.
Wow.
But healthy gut, it's all about the healthy gut. You can get our special on the Begin Health Prebiotics. Go to dailyautism.com and click on Begin Health. Also, the original Krabby Bills on Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. They are great partners in Autism Awareness, and also known as our Escape. This is where we go. We were just there celebrating a few days ago.
Yep.
We were celebrating. And like I said, you feel like you're on a desert island. It's absolutely awesome. So the original Krabby Bills, that's on Indian Rocks Beach, Florida. Get their happy hour and live music every single day. Angel Sense, the assistive technology for autism and special needs. Not just a GPS tracker. This is also a way to communicate with your child or young adult wherever they may be. You also have a GPS track on them. Also an element where you can actually send messages, recorded messages, to the person with the Angel Sense. Again, get a free device at dailyautism.com. Just click on the Angel Sense button. Also want to say thank you to Dr. John Young from Young Foundational Health. We had a great conversation with Dr. Young a couple weeks ago. We actually have another one coming up in a couple of weeks. He is doing really awesome, cutting-edge, modern research about autism and special needs. Again, go to our podcasting platforms at dailyautism.com, and you can see or hear our entire conversation with Dr. Young. He's in Largo, Florida, and hear everything that he's researching, what he's found out. And most importantly, and I just asked him, what are your patients saying? What are the families saying? He had some phenomenal stuff that I have never heard of before, just his research. That is Young Foundational Health Center in Largo, Florida. And again, you can find out more about Dr. Young at youngfoundationalhealth.com. And we will be talking to him again in just about a week or two. Also, the Somos Sensory Swing and Hammock. Plenty of videos online about Cal and his sensory swing. So you should check that out because it is absolutely awesome. It's got the built-in pillow. People say, wow, your house is pretty cool. I said, it is pretty cool. We got all this wild stuff hanging up. So dailyautism.com, they also have a special going on. You can click on that link and get that as well. All right, like I said, coming up here in just a second, it is going to be Mayor Cookie Kennedy, the 3-time mayor of Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, and now candidate for Pinellas County Commissioner. And I want to leave you with dailyautism.com for all the latest videos, including Cal trying rigatoni. Mm-hmm. There's been some great videos this week. I was a college graduate this week. We've got some pictures on there. Cal was thrilled. He thought the outfit looked like, he said, I was a wizard, and it was time for me to go teach class. So
yes, congratulations.
Yeah, thank you. It was
very fun.
It was very fun. We had a lot of awesome things. And so dailyautism.com to see the videos and to grab all of our podcast. And with that, we will welcome in Mayor Cookie Kennedy to the show.
I'm so happy to be with you.
Well, we've been planning this for a long time, and thank you for making time for this. It's really, really nice of you. It's just to give people some background, and obviously on the Daily Autism channel, I want to get into Cookie's prior work. She's already taken action for citizens and autistic families and stuff like that. So I want to jump into that, the work you've already done, and kind of your vision for the future for not just autism, but special needs and how that relates to Pinellas County. But I know when I say college student, we're like the first things people see in their mind, right? We look like college students, right?
I think we do.
Yeah, absolutely. and we're good college students. But I want to talk briefly about how, you're at St. Petersburg College. You're graduating with honors.
Yes, with you.
Yeah, right. And so Cookie and I were classmates. I guess we met kind of virtually a year or two ago, and these online forums that we have to do in our classes. And so you're already the mayor, 3-time mayor, Indian Rocks Beach, very successful terms there. And before that, on the commission for, I think, 4 times, you said.
Yes.
So you've had already a life in public service. You understand how to unite people, how to communicate with people. I've heard all the stories about just how above and beyond you go. But what led you to go back to school when you've already been so successful with, doing what you do?
Well, I think it was a bucket list, but what really amazed me being back at school is the fact that I did think that I knew quite a bit about being an elected official. I'm always about learning. I put my heart and soul into it, making sure that I knew as much as I could about whatever subject has come forward, issues. But I just think that, and I don't know if you agree with me or not, but I learned so much being in public policy and administration, and it gave me a broader sense of the relationships that I've created throughout the county and the issues and how to handle that, come to the middle, which I always thought I did anyway, but it just gave me, the education has been so wonderful. And I told Professor K, our lead professor in this program, I told him that I'm amazed at how the impact that these classes have had on me. And I'm so grateful that we're graduating.
I know you're a real native Pinellas, because you say Pinellas. I say
yes,
Pinellas.
Yes.
You're one of the original. You're the OG. You're one of the OGs.
I've actually been accused that I don't know how to say it, and I had a friend standing with me one day who also was born here and said, "Actually, you're saying it wrong. It's Pinellas."
Right. I learned that because I moved here 7.5 years ago, and I run into somebody and they're Pinellas. I said, "Well, I know it looks like pine, but it's Pinellas." And they said, "Born and raised, 3 generations, Pinellas." And I said, "You win." So you're right. Yeah, I think it's good. I will say, for the public policy program, that we got an opportunity for real world. We had responsibilities to go out into government, go out into public policy, and not just watch. I mean, we had to be a part of it. We had to actually intervene in the process, which I thought was great, a real world experience. But I will say, my class, we were very fortunate to have a sitting mayor, because how many times, were you there? And Professor K would say, "Well, let's ask the mayor. Here she is." So,
I could have killed him. He did that so much. It was ridiculous.
Yeah. Well, I was wondering what, we would be in class and I said, Cookie should clock in. I mean, she's really working here. But it was really awesome of you to go back, because as much of it, I know you wanted to learn and see kind of, the modern workings of public policy, what was being taught. You gave a lot to your classmates. You really did. And so that was really neat of you do that. And like I said, we're very lucky. I'm not sure that every public policy class has quite as much substance, because when you have an elected official, a local elected official there, it really was interesting to get your take of this. And one thing I got from you was how balanced you were in considering all the sides. And so many times you said, this issue would keep me up at night, or this issue, I just couldn't understand what one side wanted, but then I sort of understood. And I just thought you really fundamentally were somebody who really tried to look at the core of every issue, not the fringe, not what everybody was being loud about and social media and everything. It was really about the core issue. So I think for me, that's why, and we eventually wound up, doing all this with autism, and I'll get to that in a second, but it's so much as personality, right? It's so much as who you are, and are you willing to critically think? And I think critical thinking, unfortunately, is maybe on the downward trend, especially if you just look at social media. You were so good at it, and you really talked about that process. And so I appreciate that. Kennedy4Pinellas.com is the website to learn more about Mayor Kennedy and her work and her vision for the future as she runs for commissioner seat in Pinellas County. I want to get to the autism side of it. And I think, for me, obviously it hits home with having a young son who's autistic. And when we were in our capstone class, which for people who don't know what a capstone class is, it's basically your final project, but it's supposed to encapsulate basically your 4 years. It's the big thing, right? And everybody had to pick an issue, and it's kind of, they called it from cradle to grave. And so you start with this issue. How are you going to get things done through public policy and all the inner workings? And so mine was obviously autism awareness. And what I didn't know at the time, I knew you were the mayor, but I didn't know that you had already done a lot of hard work for special needs families in Indian Rocks Beach. You were one of the first, if not the first, to enact a proclamation. And I just want you to talk about that process. And so, we obviously have a large audience of parents of autistic kids, and I think they'd be interested in hear, how did you get interested in it? And then how did you decide to actually take action? A lot of people talk, but you really took action. I'd love to hear how that journey started for you.
I met a family, the Hargets, Scotty and Michelle, and they brought their whole family to volunteer for a beach cleanup on 4th of July. And this had to be 8 or 10 years ago. And I remember they had a son, Zach, and they told me that he was autistic. And for whatever reason, he just latched on to me and we became buddies. He would walk around when I was on the campaign trail, and I had him sit next to me when I was mayor several times. He would, when I was in a parade, he even helped me, believe it or not. He taught me how to do a PowerPoint. Okay. That's how he's just an amazing kid. And, I realized that his mother was doing runs for autism, and I interacted with the family so much. They're like an extended part of my family, that I saw the inner workings of having to cope with someone with autism, and then he has a sibling, how that interaction is. And I thought about it a lot, and I started asking her what were the ways that, as an elected official, that I could get involved and help with the autism situation. And Michelle was actually the one who said to me, most cities are really, they're really not involved. So we started with something simple as a proclamation, and I gave it to Zach. He came in with the family and we gave him the proclamation. And I think that's good, and I want every city to do that. But I think just doing a proclamation doesn't, there's so much we have to do. We have to start somewhere with small steps and move along. But I'm a small business owner for a very long time, and that creates this piece in you that we want things done yesterday. So as it would work out, our fire chief happened to be in the audience that first night, and he came right over after. He wanted to meet Zachary. He said, let's try to form some kind of coalition with the city and the fire department, and let's put some events together. Let's raise some money. Let's see where this goes. And so a few days later, he showed up with the fire truck in front of my business, and he had it wrapped in the symbol of the puzzle pieces, all in bright colors. And it's amazing. It's on the fire trucks today. We raised money. We had an event for children with autism, and I'm talking all ages. There were some adults there too, where we had paddle boards, and we had they had canoes, and we had little pools, and just tents, a lot of camaraderie and education about autism, and then of course I met you and learning about your son Cal, and I just, and all the things that you've been telling us in your capstone, and I just, I want to let's get this broader. I realize that most of the cities really need to get more involved in this issue, and the county too. The county needs to do some work, and so I hope that I can be an advocate for autism and also special needs.
Yeah, you've been very kind in learning, and I remember one of the first times that we talked on the phone, and you called me and you said, "Listen, we've got this situation, and there's a woman, and she's living in her car. She just lost her partner. He died unexpectedly, and her son's autistic." And I thought, wow, I mean, and this woman wasn't even living in Indian Rocks Beach. She was in Pinellas County, but not in your jurisdiction of Indian Rocks Beach. And you said, I just loved how you were like, I don't really know what to do, but I know we have to do something. And then I'll use the word coalition again. You got some other people involved. And after a few calls, we had a GoFundMe up, a few $1,000s we raised, and got her into a hotel, got her food, got her clothes, and we're able to get some time for her before she could finally, she got some housing. And it's interesting. I thought you approached that, at least because I didn't know you then, as somebody who was like, I don't know everything about this. I don't really understand, why would this hit a family with an autistic child harder? What are some of the other issues, and I just thought you were such a patient learner in it, and I appreciated it, you getting me involved, because that was really a moment for me too, to say, okay, you're obviously, your son's autistic, but I've devoted a lot of my last 3 or 4 years to researching this and making connections in this. And so you really allowed me and our audience, our platform, to actually take some action. And so whether you're a politician or whether you're a media person or whatever, ideas are great, this and that, but taking action. And so for me, I tell people all the time, I said, what Cookie did, I said, she really allowed me to actually put the rubber on the road and use the audience and really help somebody. And so that was a great thing that we did. And I thank you for bringing me involved in that. And I will say, on your website, kennedyforpinellas.com, the first graphic is you and the proclamation with Zach there. And so that's really cool. I want people to go and see that at kennedyforpinellas.com. So you get the fire truck, then you kind of inspire the fire department. They wrap the truck. And I've told you before, my wife and I, we love to go to Krabby Bill's. That's our kind of home away from home. You feel like you're on an island somewhere. You just feel great.
Do.
Oh my gosh, it's great. And I can't tell you how many times the fire trucks rolled by. They've honked the horn. There it is, Autism Awareness. Everybody's cheering, and I'm just like, oh man, that is so cool. And I didn't know that was you, because I didn't know you at that time. And so it's a great story of how you put all that together. And again, I want to tell people, saying things are one thing, like you mentioned. Proclamations are great. I think everybody should have them. We should acknowledge things because that's a starting point. But then it's taking action. And then the next thing you did, which I thought was great, is you said, Mark, you've got to come to Indian Rocks Beach. You've got to talk to the city manager. We've got to talk about things that we can do. You organized that. I thought that was fantastic. And then you said you got to come to the Big C, because you're the president at this point of the Big C when we did that. And for a lot of people don't know, it's 11 of the barrier islands. And you allowed me to give them some ideas, some autism awareness initiatives. And I just want to show you that appreciation and explain to the audience that is taking action, paving the way for somebody who might have an initiative to help a group of people. And so I want to thank you for that. And I guess my question in a roundabout way is, a lot of politicians, they want to do the talking. They want to, these are my ideas. What is it about you to kind of bring people together? Instead of saying, hey, Mark, give me all this and I'll talk about it. You said, no, you come, you present it.
Well, I'm still learning, first of all, but that is, I'm in a faith group, and that is the one thing that, they say we're all born with a gift, and sometimes we never find out what our gift is. And I've been told my gift is the gift of bringing people together and of helping. So, I hope that's what I am. I'm going to continue to do that even at this point. And I'm still learning so much. And what was so great about the two things that you just mentioned, coming in, sitting with our city manager, Greg Mims, who has an autistic grandson. And it was, I mean, you saw it's emotional, it's raw, because Greg Mims is like a brother to me. The hardest thing I ever did was to tell him that I was going to leave being the mayor and I was going to run for county commissioner, because we have this strong bond friendship. And, our agreement on issues like autism, I mean, we actually put our heart and soul into issues to help people. And, he sat across from you and I, and he had tears in his eyes telling you some of the stories about his grandson. And I knew, he immediately said, let's try to figure this out, where I get in touch with, there's 24 city managers, and we kind of come to the table and see if there is something we can do. And then that's led me to think, well, if he's going to do that with their city managers, let's go get 11 elected officials, mostly mayors from the Barrier Island Governmental Council, and let's let them hear your story. And I'll be honest with you, I didn't know how they were going to react, but you saw yourself. The vice mayor of he's Bel Air Shore, Daniel Story. He came right over after the meeting. He said, Cookie, I just want you to know that I moved to Florida to be here to bring my son, who is autistic, and I am right there. I want to help. And so that's the beauty of this whole movement, getting people together to help us be a stronger coalition and make some really important pieces happen. And I want to be the architect, if you want to call it that, and I need people like you who know so much about this subject. And just, I have my pad of paper with me all the time, and I'm writing down things to remind myself.
You do.
I do. Yeah. And like when we're talking about it, like, that's the next thing. What's the next thing that we can do?
You had asked me to share, some of the details and about special needs families and the accelerated divorce rate, the accelerated unemployment rate. It's almost $2 million now to raise a child with who's autistic. I mean, it's, you need special therapies, you need special equipment, you need safety equipment. We have 2 to 3 locks on every doors. We have to have a ring camera on every angle of our house because of the elopement. Drowning is the number one cause of death for these kids. And you and I have talked a lot about that. Water, Florida, right? That's what we are. And
totally
that's what
freaks me out too.
Yeah.
I'm totally by that.
I know. And so, we can't solve every problem at once, and we all want that to happen. But you're such a good connector of people. And I really just appreciate you approaching things, wanting to learn, not to take credit. And it's just been such a selfless approach. And I think this is one area of special needs where it would really do good for people, candidates, or even current elected officials, just to take a few minutes. Because I'll tell you, you talk about Greg, the city manager in Rocks Beach, a mayor, Bel Air Beach. But I know police officers, teachers, firefighters, entrepreneurs, successful CEOs of big companies. They have autistic kids. This is not something that it's where you grew up or race or ethnicity. Nothing. It's nothing. Like, it's 1 in 36. And, there's a lot of us in that 1 in 36. And, and even my background, I have 4 neurotypical kids. Kyle was the youngest. I thought I had this all figured out. I was the guy my friends were calling. They're like, I'm about to have my second kid. I'm freaking out. I'm like, oh yeah, I got all the answers. Don't worry. But then, this happens, and it is square one. And you look around at government and public policy, and there's some sincere lacking things. And I don't mean it from a sense of, status. I mean, just basic safety, basic resources. People are getting crushed by insurance, and you worry about people speeding in your neighborhood because these children, they'll run out into the streets. And there's so many things, from education to health to safety. There's just so many things. And you've really done a great job at kind of wanting to explore all of that and what we need. The other thing too I want to mention to people is we are going to, and this is what I love about Cookie. Like you said, hey, I want to come on, I want to talk to you and meet the audience. But you said I don't want to just do that. Every month we need to get together. So we're going to do roundtables from now until hopefully the end of time. And you want to get people together and have these conversations. And I just think that's great of you. I really do.
Well, I think that there's all different levels of this story. And one of the ones that really resonated with me is the fact that you do have 5 kids. And you said to me, one of the reason that I am so involved, I want to do everything I possibly can for my son, Cal, but I have 4 other children. And what happens, God forbid, if something happened to my wife and I mean, what happens? And that just was that really, endured me to you right away, because that's just my nature. And I thought, well, we're gonna have a round table. We're gonna get some of the individuals and families involved, and we're going to make a plan. And it may take a long time, but you know what? We've got time, and we're going to get this together, and we'll take it to whatever I'm doing and wherever I'm at to make a better situation for all of you. And that includes special needs, needs children outside of autism. I mean, there are a lot of parents out there that are struggling and worried about what's going to happen to their kids if something happens to them. So I just want to, I don't have all the answers. I'm like you said, I am still learning. But if there's something that I can do, I'm gonna put my mind to it. You mentioned Krabby Bills, and I wanna tell you, Matt Loader and his wife Maria, they have been such awesome advocates for a lot of different issues, but specifically autism. And I have that helps the situation, because they want to be involved, and so we gather people that want to be involved and want to do good works in the community.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that, because special needs, I think where we're going to find the sweet spot, if you will, of solutions and conversations is the intersection of private and public. I think it's government officials, and I think it's entrepreneurs, and I think actually that's where the best things happen.
Yes.
It's not exclusive one sector or another. I do think it's the intersection. I'm glad you brought that up, and you are an entrepreneur. This is what's interesting about you. I mean, so you're an entrepreneur, you're a small business owner, but then you've been an elected official, so you understand the balance of this, how this works. Listen, stakeholders are stakeholders for a reason, right? Everybody kind of would like to see something done. Some things make more sense than others. But it is about coming together instead of making these broad promises, but without really saying how it's going to happen, right? You just kind of give this mantra and that's it. But you've always been very upfront. And even with the class, you would explain to the class, I had this issue. And in order to solve the issue, I couldn't do it myself. I had to get these other people involved, and we all had to hear each other, which is how the process works. I think.
Isn't that amazing?
Yeah.
That's how the process works.
That's how the process works. It's
if
so
you want to get something done.
If you want to get it done, that's exactly right. Because it's easy to make a promise, get on top of the hill and play who can yell louder. But that's not going to work once you actually have to start getting the work done. You've done a phenomenal job. I appreciate our friendship. And you're going to be coming to the studio soon. And you're going to tour the studio. And we're going to do an event there. But I'm looking forward to our roundtable. We're going to bring in some people from, the entrepreneurship sector and some the public sector. And I just think it's great. And it's really awesome to introduce you to the audience, because I can tell you special needs families are searching for somebody who's just willing to put the hand up and say, I want to listen. I mean, really, there's just nobody doing it. And so we appreciate you stepping forward. Again, it's kennedyforpinellas.com. Links to all of Cookie's social media are on there. So you can link up with her there. Her email is there. You're very responsive on email and text. And my kids think it's cool. I have you on my cell phone as Mayor Kennedy. And so when you call, they get up the mayor's calling. They think it's so cool. So, it's great. But thank you for being here, Cookie, and I'm looking forward to talking with you over the next months and I hope years as you get people together and kind of form that coalition for special needs and just having conversation about ideas.
Thank you. This was awesome. I look forward to doing it again. Thank you for having me.
That is Mayor Cookie Kennedy, running, of course, for a commissioner in Pinellas. And again, KennedyforPinellas.com.